Hello, my name is Leighton Suzuki, and today I will be talking about the court case of Lewis v. Casey. Now, this case has a lot to do with the rights of inmates to things like legal material so that they can file their own complaints and such. So, the background is that a lower federal court decided that the Arizona Department of Corrections wasn't providing their inmates with enough legal assistance and that they weren't giving them, enough resources to file complaints and such. And they did this based off of the findings not of their own research, but they actually had a different, what they call a master, whatever that means, who did investigating for them instead of actually cooperating with the prison officials themselves. And they came up with a whole list of things that they demanded the Arizona Department of Corrections fix in order to provide adequate assistance to their inmates, such as more training to staff in the library. They needed to update their legal material in the legal library. They needed to have better photocopying abilities in the library. They needed to have better access to the library for higher security inmates. They needed to expand access times for the legal library. They needed to prepare a video on legal research for inmates to watch, and they also needed to train bilingual inmates as legal assistants for inmates who might not speak English. So that's all that the lower federal court demanded that happens. The prison officials appealed this to the higher courts, and the Supreme Court eventually said that this was all ridiculous. They said that the lower courts should have deferred over to the prison authorities. They should have given more respect to the prison authorities, I guess, instead of kind of going behind their backs and also not trusting their own judgments. And the Supreme Court also said that this list of demands was way too broad and way too demanding. There was too much that was asked of them. Then there was also the fact that this original thing was that wasn't really any actual injury that was, being caused to the inmates. The inmates weren't suffering from the current resources of the legal library that was available to them. It was already adequate for them. So there was no injury to start this whole thing. The lower courts went behind the prison authorities' backs and didn't really work with them at all. They didn't trust their judgment, and they made a list of demands that was completely out of control. So the Supreme Court almost immediately shut that down. It was an 8-1 decision, I believe. There was only a single member of the Supreme Court who went along with this, and the other 8 said that this whole thing was kind of ludicrous. So that is Lewis v. Casey.